My name is Maureen. This is Vinyasa Flow 1-2. We're going to be working on some standing poses and getting into our shoulders a bit. So if you have a strap or a belt or a towel, something that will allow you to reach behind you so that you can connect your hands in some way if it's difficult to get the interlace, because we're going to be doing a bit of that. I want to make sure everyone has accessibility to be able to clasp back there. You can always use your shirt if you don't have any of those props, but just keeping that in mind. And then any other props that you like to have handy for standing poses, if a block or two will help you, or something similar to that, something similar to a yoga block, a sturdy book can work as well. Take whatever you need, blankets, anything to make you comfortable. And let's begin on our mats. We're going to start in child's pose today. And child's pose is another one where a prop or two might help you. If you need to sit onto something, if your seat doesn't easily reach your heels, or if your forehead doesn't reach the ground, you can rest a blanket or a block, something on it, to bring the ground a little higher to you. And if that's not working for you still, you can choose to begin seated. So let yourself settle in however you've chosen to begin your practice. Begin to notice as you settle in and find a still moment before we begin to add movement. Just begin to notice how your body is feeling. So notice the physical, notice if you're feeling a little tenser or sore or tight in certain areas. And then also just kind of notice for a moment, going beyond just the physical, notice what's going on in your mind. There may be a lot going on in there. I know for most of us there is. This is a challenging time, so give yourself a moment to feel like you can relax your body and in turn allow all of these thoughts and all of these worries tend to just kind of be pushed aside, at least for now, so that you can just focus on being here on your mat, perhaps breathing a little bit with a little bit more awareness than you normally would, just using that breath as a tool to kind of move you along through the class this evening. So taking a few more breaths in this position that you've chosen, and then notice too what's going on with the shoulders, especially if you are in child's pose and your arms are stretched forward. Notice if the shoulders tend to kind of reach up to the ears and create a shorter neck. See if you can really release your shoulders. So move them away from the ears, move them further down your back, let them relax a bit. And then just take a couple of more breaths where you are. Go ahead and slowly make your way from your child's pose up to your hands and your knees, just lifting your seat. Go ahead and draw your knees so that they're right underneath your hips and place your wrists so that they're right under your shoulders. You're in an even tabletop. And then let's begin to move with the breath, cat and cow, heart pulling forward, look ahead. As you inhale, push the ground away with straight arms, round the back as you exhale. Doing that with the breath a few times. Inhaling and exhaling with cat and cow. And then come to a neutral spine. Just settle back into that flat back. And then keep your knees where they are. Step your hands about a handprint closer to the front of your mat. Spread the fingers, curl your toes, lift your knees up, come into downward facing dog. And just start a bit of a moving down dog. So pedal out the feet if you like, shift the hips a bit. If you want to even nod the head, roll it around. Just keeping the arms firm and strong. Pushing the mat away from you as you keep your spine long. So a long line from your neck all the way up to your tailbone as it reaches toward the ceiling and then maybe a little further towards the wall behind you. And then go ahead and still the pedaling of the feet. Notice if a slight bend in the knees helps you to keep that spine long. Take another inhale as you extend the hips further back. And then take your knees down, return to tabletop. Walk your hands back underneath your shoulders, knees stay under the hips, knees are hips distance. Extending your right arm straight out in front of you, turn the palm in and keep that shoulder from hunching forward. So you're extending through the fingertips. Keeping your back flat, extend your opposite left leg straight back behind you, pressing the heel back and straightening the left leg. So let the heel be about the same height as your hip, and your hips are even, and you're flexing through that foot as you reach that right arm further out in front of you without the shoulder hunching forward. And then take it back to hands and knees. Exhale, return to tabletop and switch sides. Left arm extends long out in front of you. And then without the belly sagging down, keep the core engaged and then lengthen that right heel straight back towards the wall that's behind you, as if you could push the sole of the foot all the way to that wall. And then the left arm extends to the wall that's in front of you. Take 2 more breaths. And work to find that evenness, that steadiness, even though you're breathing, you're holding the pose and finding balance. Take that hand down, lower the knee back down. Then take a moment here. I'm going to turn to face you, so this is a little easier to see. Extend your right arm now out to the right, palm facing down. And then go ahead and turn your upper body towards the right. Reach the right arm all the way to the ceiling. If you need to, you can take the knees a bit wider to give yourself space. And then stretch the chest open a little bit more, maybe even lean the head back towards the left. Now, you're going to turn back towards the ground. You're going to thread your right arm under your left, reach it all the way to the opposite side, lay the whole arm down, rest your temple on the mat. And then do this for me. Take your left hand and crawl the fingertips all the way forward. And then come up onto the fingertips so that you're kind of cupping the hand. Push the finger pads down. Press the right arm down. And see if you can turn your chest open towards that left side even a little more. It's a big shoulder stretch. Then slowly drag that left hand back. Once it's next to your face, push it to the ground, rise back up, take the right hand down. So you're back to neutral. Once again, knees wider than the hips if that's more comfortable. Flip the left arm to the left and then begin to turn open towards that side. Take a couple of breaths here, see if you can reach even higher, and then open the chest even more, maybe leaning the head back, open the throat. And then turn back to face the ground. Reach underneath so that hand stretches to the opposite side. Whole straight arm comes down. And then temple rests. Once you're there, then crawl the right hand forward. So getting that arm straight and trying to really reach that arm as far forward as you can. Lift and cup the hand. Push the finger pads down. Root the whole bottom arm down and then turn even further. Continue breathing. And then bring your right hand back next to you. Once it's in position, push down to rise up. Return to hands and knees. Nice. Once you're back to your hands and knees, draw the knees once again so they're under your hips. Walk your hands forward and touch, curl your toes under, lift your knees up, come into downward facing dog. Once you're in downward facing dog, look forward between your thumbs, shift forward into a plank pose. So you may need to wiggle the feet just a little further back so that you can have the hips lower than the shoulders. One long line from the crown of the head down toward the heels. Push the ground away, firm the triceps, wrap them inward, look past the edge of your mat. Begin to lean forward, shift the shoulders past the wrists. Take the knees down if you're modifying, or keep them up, slowly bend the elbows straight back and bring yourself all the way to the ground. Then stretch the toes back, hug the elbows in, push into the ground. Inhale, pull the chest forward, low cobra. Shrug the shoulders back a bit, away from the ears. Exhale, lower down. And do that once again. Inhale, pull forward even a bit more. Keep the tops of the feet glued, and maybe get the chest to rise a little higher. Keep the elbows hugged in. Lower on the exhale. Now step your hands outside the perimeters of your mat. Come onto the fingertips again. Point the elbows straight up. Push the finger pads down, drag them back. Inhale, come to that other variation of cobra. Notice especially here, if the shoulders are hunching and the chest is dipping, draw the shoulders back, pull the chest forward and up. Take another inhale, maybe come a little higher. Exhale, lower all the way back down. Place the hands back next to your ribs, fingers pointing forward, 90-degree arms. Inhale, come forward to a cobra. Feel free to stay right there or continue pressing to up dog, straighten the arms. If you need a little more time for up dog, that's fine. Take another breath. Flip the feet or press to tabletop. Curl the toes, downward facing dog. After a while, I grew close. All right, from downward facing dog, look between the hands. This time either walk the feet forward to the hands or lift the heels, bend the knees, maybe do a step or a hop. Once you're all the way to the front of the mat, take an inhale, bring your hands up to your shins and stretch the chest forward. Find a flat back, shoulders draw back, crown of the head forward. Ardha Uttanasana. On your next exhale, fold all the way back down over the legs. Stretch the arms out wide, press the feet to stand, inhale. Once you're upright, reach the arms up, stand tall, stay tall as you exhale and pull the hands down to the heart. Okay, let's begin to flow a bit, standing tall at the top of the mat. Take an inhale, circle the arms wide, reach to the ceiling again, lift the gaze up. Exhale, forward fold, arms out, hinge at the hips, bowing all the way over the legs. Inhale, stretch halfway up, flat back, Ardha Uttanasana. Bending the knees, plant the hands, step your left foot all the way to the back of the mat. Find a high lunge. Make sure the right knee is above the ankle. Take the back left knee down. You can be on fingertips if that's easier. Uncurl the toes. Inhale, lift to kneeling lunge. Anjaneyasana, so arms straight to the ceiling. Take note of the front of the pelvis. If it's tipping forward, lift the frontal hip bones up a bit more, and then lift the chest a little higher, reach the arms higher, maybe bend the right knee just a touch further. On the exhale, lean forward, release the hands down. Curl the back toes, lift the knee, look forward. On the exhale, step the back foot to the front of the mat. Then take an inhale, come halfway up, long spine, Ardha Uttanasana. Folding again as you exhale, arms out, inhale, rise to stand. On the exhale, stay tall, hands to heart center. Take that again, second side. Inhale, arms sweep all the way up. Exhale, bowing all the way forward. Inhale, stretch it halfway up, long spine. Bending the knees, plant the hands, right foot goes back now. Once the ball of the foot settles, make sure you have a long enough lunge and take the knee down. Untuck the toes. Inhale, reach for the ceiling. Take 2 more breaths, find even more lift through the upper body while the knee stays bending. Reach the arms a little higher, shoulders down. Lean forward, exhale, hands to the mat. Curl the back toes, lift the knee, look forward. Step it all the way to the front. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, folding forward again. Arms out, inhale, rise to stand. Exhale, hands to heart center. Let's add on from there. Inhale, arms circle to the ceiling. Exhale, folding down again. Inhale, stretch it forward halfway. Exhale, bend the knees, hands down, step the left foot back. Once it's there, take the knee down, uncurl the toes, inhale, stretch the arms to the ceiling. Exhale, lean forward, hands down. Curl the back toes, lift the knee up. Now, pop your back foot in maybe an inch. Make sure your feet are hips distance, you're not in a tightrope. Take your hands one at a time to your right thigh. Press onto it, inhale, rise all the way up to crescent. Bend the back knee as much as you need to. Then take the hands to the hips. Work the front of the pelvis upright, keep the chest lifted. You can stay here or stretch the arms out first, find your balance, palms up. Inhale, slowly raise the arms without the shoulders interfering. Take another inhale and crescent. On your exhale, tip forward, reach for the ground. Once the hands are down, step your right foot back to plank. Once you're in plank, look forward. Lean and shift the shoulders past the wrist, take chaturanga, knees up or down. Then from there, inhale, flip the feet to up dog or stay low with cobra. And then exhale, down dog. Right, from downward facing dog, look forward, lift the heels, bend the knees, float forward on the exhale, or step, or walk it to the front. Once you're there, inhale, rise halfway up. Exhale, fold over the legs. Arms out, inhale, rise to stand. Exhale, hands pull to the heart. Okay, let's do that on the other side, standing tall. Inhale, arms float all the way up. Exhale, deep humble bow forward. Inhale, stretch it forward again. Bend the knees, plant the hands, right foot goes back. And then take the knee down, uncurl the toes. Kneeling lunge first, arms reach for the ceiling, shoulders out of the ears. Exhale, lean forward again, plant the hands. Curl the back toes, lift the knee. Now once again, take the foot a little closer. For a lot of us, crescent's going to be a shorter stance. Soften the back knee as you walk your hands to your front thigh, knee above ankle. Press down to lift the upper body all the way upright. Feel strong and stable. Take the hands to the hips for support. Hug the hips in. Feel the frontal hip bones peel up toward the front body. And then if you're taking it further, you can always keep the hands on the hips. You can always take the back knee down again. Reach arms out wide. Turn the palms up. Inhale. Notice those shoulders as the arms go up. Draw them down, down, down the back. Lift the chest up a little bit more. One more inhalation. And then exhale, release it. Lean forward, hands down. Step to plank. From plank, look ahead. Take that shift. Take chaturanga as you move through the vinyasa. After this, we can always skip vinyasas. You can always take a break here and there. You can always return to child's pose if you find your breath getting a little away from you. All right, once you're back in your downward facing dog, let's do this. Walk your hands to the back of your mat towards your feet. So you're going to come to a forward fold. And then take an inhale, bring the hands to the shins. Draw the shoulders out of the ears, find that flat back. Now, keeping that, bend the knees just a little bit. Or a lot. If your hamstrings are tight, you're going to want more of a bend in your knees. Try to keep the spine long. Reach your hands behind you. Here's where the prop may come in handy. If you're unable to interlace the fingers, grab your shirt or whatever prop you have handy. Then straighten the arms. Draw the shoulders back. Move a little more weight into the balls of the feet. Feel like you're skiing down a mountain. Pull the chest further forward. Then as you exhale, begin to hinge the hips, bowing forward as you raise your arms further away from your back body, closer to the ceiling. If your hamstrings allow it, you can straighten the legs. A lot of us are going to keep the knees soft. Notice if the shoulders are collapsing to the ground. Try to lift the shoulder heads up away from the ground, reach the hands higher, and then maybe if you bow a little further forward, the arms go a little further overhead. Take it in stages. If your shoulders aren't allowing that, just work to keep the arms straight and the knees unlocked. Crown of the head reaching closer to the ground. And then unclasp the hands or drop whatever you're holding. Let the arms hang down. Take an inhale, come up halfway to Ardha Uttanasana, shoulders back, long spine. Fold down again as you exhale. And then stretch the arms out. On an inhale, press to stand. Reach up nice and high to the ceiling. And then exhale, draw the hands to the heart center. Let's get standing at the back of the mat. I'm going to have you step your feet all the way together. So narrow stance with the feet. The feet stay parallel though. Take the arms out and make goalpost arms or cactus shape. I'll turn to face you. You want your elbows to be shoulder height, so not dropping down here. So nice even little cactus. And then you're going to draw the forearms together in front of you. You're going to cross your right elbow over your left. And then you're going to fully do the eagle wrap, pressing the palms. If that's too intense, you're going to hold your shoulders, keeping the elbows lifted up away from the ground. And then once you have the arms connected, you're going to take an eagle wrap with the legs. So you're going to lift your left heel, and then you're going to slide your left leg over your right, like you sit in a chair. So close the gap, and then you can either just touch the toes down or the ball of the foot so that it's next to your right standing foot, or if you're able to get that balance, maybe you squeeze that outside the foot next to the calf muscle. If you're really bendy, you can wrap the foot behind and tuck the toes, but make sure that does not hurt the knee joint or twist the hips out of alignment. Keep the elbows lifting, keep breathing. Try to move your forearms further away from your face. Or if you're holding shoulder, try to point your elbows further away from your chest. All right, very carefully unwrap that leg, step the feet together. Unwrap the arms, stretch them out. Turn the palms up, inhale, reach to the ceiling. And then exhale, draw the hands to the heart. Let's do that on the other side. So cactus arms to start. So going into that eagle wrap, forms come together. Left goes over right this time. So switch the crossing. So once again, maybe a shoulder hug is more accessible. Maybe the wrap feels like a good way to stretch the shoulders and upper back. And then let your knees start to bend. So favor the heels a bit more, and then lift your right heel. So without letting the knee fan to the side, so you don't want a big open shape, you want to slide the leg over, so keep the legs close. So easiest way to access the pose is to keep both feet on the ground. If you're working a balance, then you can consider floating the foot. Keep in mind you can always touch it down whenever you need to. And then once again, see if you can drop the hips a little lower, but raise the elbows a little higher. So you get a little deeper into the pose, sitting into it, presenting the forearms forward and breathing. And then standing upright, uncrossing the legs, step the feet together, uncross the arms, stretch them out. Turn the palms up as you inhale, look at the ceiling, reach up. Now do this for me, exhale, bend your knees, favor the heels once again, drop your seat, come into chair pose. So the arms stay straight. Notice if the shoulders are hunching, draw them back. Feel free to take the hands a little wider, scoop the triceps in and down, drop the hips a little lower, lift the chest up a little higher. Take another inhale, and then exhale, release it, come all the way down to a forward fold. Take an inhale, come halfway up. Exhale, fold forward again. And then from this forward fold, wiggle your feet out to hips distance width. Then soften the knees a bit, walk the hands forward, come to downward facing dog. Hands crawl to the front of your mat once again, and you're in a downward facing dog. Once you're back in that down dog, take an inhale, extend your right leg straight up and back behind you to a three-legged dog. Reach that heel a little higher. Keep the hips square though. Don't let that hip open up. Then lift off of the ball of your left foot. Then start to bend your right knee. Pull it into your chest. Scoop out the belly and see if you can lift the shin an inch higher from the ground. Look between the hands. Step it forward. If it didn't make it, blocks can be used to kind of give it a boost, or you can lower the knee, wiggle it up, however you need to, pull the calf forward. Then you're gonna come onto your fingertips, or you're gonna be on blocks, so you can set this up. Back foot's going to spin down 45 degrees. You're gonna line up your front heel to your back heel. Once you're set up, you're going to inhale and rise straight up to warrior one. Take your hands to your hips for a moment. Notice that the hips probably aren't squared forward completely. We're working to get them a little closer to that. If you feel like you're too narrow on a tightrope, you can walk your right foot to the right a bit so you're more hip to hip. That's a more comfortable stance. See if you can bend your right knee further forward while maintaining weight on your back heel. Don't let the heel lift. Keep the back leg straight and let your inner left thigh spin towards the wall behind you as fast as it can. Hug your right hip in, squeeze both inner thighs together, then take the hands off the hips, reach out, palms up. Inhale, let the arms go to the ceiling, but don't let the shoulders hike up. Bend a little further as you reach a little higher. One more inhale. On your exhale, lean forward, hands down. Lift your back heel, so you're in a high lunge, step back to plank. Now, if you're skipping vinyasas at this point, pull back to down dog. If you're continuing to flow, shift forward, look ahead. Chaturanga as you exhale, lower. Inhale, up dog or low cobra. Exhale, down dog. All right, from downward facing dog, take your inhale, extend long through the left leg. Roll the inner left thigh towards the ceiling. Lift the heel higher, raise your right heel so you're on the ball of the foot. Almost like you're trying to move your legs away from one another. Then bend your left knee, shift forward, pull it high into the chest, round the upper back, step it forward. Or give it a little boost, a wiggle, set it up. Once you're there, maybe come to fingertips. Or maybe take your blocks, bring it a little higher so you can set this up properly. Back foot 45. Know if you're going to be heel to heel or if you're going to walk your front foot to the side and be hip to hip. Once your feet are set up, inhale, rise straight up away from that front left thigh, raise the arms to the ceiling for a moment, then take the hands to the hips. Keep the legs exactly the same, see if you can refine the pose a bit more from the ground up. So sink that front knee forward, make the front heel heavy, press the outer edge of the back right foot a lot. Stay on that heel. Dig the heel to the back of your mat. Inner thigh rolls back. Hips hug to center. Front of the pelvis stays lifted. I know it's really hard in warrior one. We're working to get that lift of the frontal hip bones. Squaring the chest forward. Take the arms out. Maybe get a little more even through the trunk of the body. When you're ready, palms flip up. And then as the arms go up, the shoulders go. Lift the chest a bit more, lengthen, lift the back ribs up off of the waist. Get a little more space to the upper body. Take another big inhale in warrior one. And then exhale, let it go. Release the hands back to the mat. From a high lunge, decide if you're going to step to down dog or if you're going to move through vinyasa. From downward facing dog, begin to lift your heels, bend your knees, look where you want to go, front of the mat, bring your feet to your hands, walk, step, or jump. Once you're there, inhale halfway up, exhale, folding over the legs. Once you're folded in, wiggle the feet all the way together. Bend your knees, inhale, come right up into chair pose or Katasana. Inner thighs close, weight in the heels, tailbone rolls to the ground, chest lifts, arms straight and strong as they lift towards the ceiling. Anchor the heels, press to stand, inhale, reach up high, and then exhale, draw the hands to the heart.
Okay, let's switch it up for a moment. We've been working mostly neutral standing poses. Let's work a little bit of externals. So I'm going to have you turn to the side. You're going to take the hands to the hips so you can step your feet out wider. Depending on your space, you can still face forward. So you're going to take a wide stance. Enough space between the feet that one of your entire legs could fit between them. So keep in mind, you may also want to have a strap or a block handy for standing poses here. So once your hands are on your hips, bend your right knee. Once the knee is bent, turn from the hip socket, point the toes straight forward. Heel your back toes in, 45, and then lift the heel and move it a little further back. So you have a true angle of the back foot, and the arch of the foot should align with your right heel. Bend your right knee deeply forward, knee on top of ankle, so strong deep bend. And then keep the upper body lifted. Try to square the trunk of the body back to the side so you're not twisting towards the front knee. And then keep the shoulders right above the hips, take the hands off the hips and reach the arms front to back. So you're in warrior two. And then just look at your right hand. Or look past the fingertips as if you could just see beyond whatever is past the wall in front of you. Keep the right knee bending forward. Once again, press the outer to the back foot, favoring the heel. And take another inhale here. And then as you exhale, you're simply going to straighten your right leg. So once the leg is straight, make sure the knee doesn't lock completely, especially if you're hypermobile, if you sit into your joints. Keep the knee a tiny bit bent. Work the muscles surrounding the joints. Reach your right hand forward. When you're ready, exhale. Lower the hand down to your shin, left arm to the ceiling, or place a block or some other kind of prop to the outer edge of the foot. If you need more height, you can do a stack of blocks or books or something to give you more lift. And if your hand is on your shin, don't have it so far down that it's twisting your torso toward the ground. Have it high enough that the whole chest can face the side, and you can easily reach that left arm straight up to the ceiling and move the shoulders down the back. So Trikonasana triangle pose, standing tall on both feet, feeling like you could drag your right heel towards the arch of the back foot, and then scissor the inner thighs together, engage the quadriceps, draw them up toward the hips. Continue to breathe, maybe look up at that top hand. And then with that top hand, flip it back. Wrap the tricep inward so the pinky side is facing forward, and then extend the arms slowly overhead and try to keep this nice long angle from your back heel to the top hand. So you don't want to curve forward over the front leg. You want to extend long through that whole top side body. And then reach that hand to the ceiling, press the feet down, inhale, rise back up. Look forward, bend your right knee once again, deep, strong bend. Now, reach your hand forward, either take the hand to the inside of the foot or form to thigh. So this one's a little more challenging. Feel free to take the form to the thigh so you can keep this side of the waist long, you're not collapsing. If the hand especially doesn't easily reach the ground, take this variation or place your hand on a block to the inside of the foot. If you can easily reach the ground, glue your arm and leg together and squeeze your right hip more to center. Press your back heel as much as you can. Then as you reach that top hand up, turn the palm back the other way now. So let the thumb point back. Bring that hand behind your back. Walk it forward, trying to find your outer right hip. See if you can crawl as far toward that hip crease or outside of the thigh as you can. Roll this top shoulder further back. Maybe you're just gonna stay here and feel this big opening of the chest. If you know you can easily do a full bind, you're welcome to take the right arm underneath, wrap it, clasp, or use a strap to bridge the distance. For a lot of us, we're going to take the half variation, hand down or form to thigh. Open the chest more, roll the top shoulder back. Then very carefully, if you have a full bind, release bottom hand, release top arm, stretch it to the ceiling, press the feet down, inhale, lift to warrior two for a beat, take the hands to the hips, point your right toes forward, parallel your feet. All right, take a moment. Hands on hips, bend your knees, heel toe your feet together. And then take a moment, shake it out before we do all of that on the other side. Give yourself a moment if you need a water break, if you need to grab a prop or two or switch it to the other side. When you are ready, bring your hands back to your hips. So we're going to take that same wide stance. So starting with the feet parallel, hugging the hips with your hands, bend your left knee, turn from the hip socket, toes point forward, back foot peels in, heel slides back. Heel to arch, line it up, sink the left knee deeply forward, and then keep the upper body nice and lifted and square to the side, and then reach the arms as far apart as you can. So feel a broadening across the chest as you stretch to the fingertips of both hands. And then gazing forward, soften the face, soften the neck, release the shoulders down the back. Bend your left knee just a little bit more. Keep the shoulders right above the hips, so avoid leaning forward yet. We'll get there in a moment. And then simply push into your front foot, straighten the leg, keep the knee a tiny bit soft. Reach your left hand out. Take it down, shin, or if you're using a block, take it outside the foot. You can even use two. And then reach straight for the ceiling with that right hand. So the lower part of your body is creating that triangle shape. The floor is the bottom, and then you're trying to lift the point of the triangle up away from the ground. And you're trying to reach that top hand even higher to facilitate that amount of space. And then once again, favor your back heel, but also press a bit more into the big toe mound of your front foot. So you don't want to roll to the outside of that foot. You want to maintain weight at the base of the big toe. And we're going to take that top arm overhead. Flip the palm back. Extend long towards whatever is in front of you. Keeping the chest open, you don't want to collapse down. Lengthen that whole right side of the body. And then raise the right hand up. Press the feet down. Inhale. Come back to stand. Look forward. Bend that left knee. Strong bend. Find warrior two. Then reach past. Reach out with the left hand. So forearm to thigh for some. Right hand up. Or hand inside. Maybe once again using the block or on fingertips. You can also have a hold of the ankle if that's accessible. And then see if you can, if you do have that hand down, squeeze arm and leg together. Make them one unit so that they glue together, and then you feel the kind of drawing in of the outer left hip so it doesn't swing out behind you. Keep that feeling in mind. We're definitely going to use it later. So we're going to wrap the top hand. Turn it back. Bring the arm behind you. And then without letting the chest turn down, see if you can bring that hand further to the outside of your front thigh, or even just rest it at the mid-back, maybe working towards that opposite side of the waist. So you're getting this stretch of the shoulder and you're lifting the shoulder head away from the ground. Then maybe you're staying right here. Maybe if you're very open in the shoulders, completely optional, you're going to maybe go for a full bind using a prop like a strap or a belt or a towel, or you're just going to stay and breathe. You're working very hard. And then very carefully, if you have the wrap or bottom hand in some other way, release it, and then carefully unwind that right arm. Stretch it up nice and high, press into the feet, inhale, rise to stand, ooh, parallel the feet. All right, take a moment here, bring the hands to the hips, make sure your feet are truly parallel, so the outer edges are even to the front and back of your mat, if that's how you're standing. And then take your hands behind you. If you are interlacing your fingers again, cross the opposite thumb on top. So cross the way you normally don't automatically to switch it up. Or grab a strap, belt, towel, or your shirt. Now brush the tailbone down as you straighten the arms, lift the chest up. Keeping your back flat, exhale, begin to tip forward. Notice if all the weight's going back into the heels. Shift a little further forward to the balls of the feet. And then maybe lean a little further forward. If you have very tight hamstrings, you may need to bend the knees a bit. And then maybe tip forward even more. Maybe try to get the arms a little higher away from the back body, a little higher to the ceiling, or maybe slightly further overhead if the shoulders allow it. Try to release the crown of the head towards the ground. And then take it slow. Lead with the chest. Keep the back flat. Inhale. Press to stand. Come all the way up. Unclasp the hands. Take a moment. Stretch the arms out. Reach all the way up. Take the hands to the heart. Bring your hands to your hips. Bend your knees. Heel toe slowly the feet back together. Now give those legs a nice shake. Okay, let's face forward, top of the mat once again. And it's always a good idea to keep the props handy if you're using them near the front of the mat, accessible. I'm going to have you bring your feet all the way together now. So centering the feet, draw the hands to the heart, stand nice and tall for a moment. Lengthen from the heels up to the top of the head. Let's begin to flow again, bending your knees. Drop your seat, come through chair pose, sink into that chair, Uttanasana, the hips low. Take another inhale. On your exhale, release, forward folds. On your inhale, stretch the chest forward halfway up. Bending your knees, plant the hands, optional vinyasa. Maybe you're gonna flow, maybe you're just gonna go right to down dog and pause. All right, from downward facing dog. Inhale, send your right leg straight back, lift it high, maybe raise that left heel to clear the mat. Bend the knee into the chest, shift forward, step it all the way up. You're gonna set up for warrior one again. Maybe grab the blocks, maybe come fingertips, back foot 45, heel to heel or hip to hip. Inhale, straight up, Virabhadrasana 1. Strong stance, now that we know the pose a bit more, hips squaring forward as much as possible, back heel connected, upper body lifts, arms stretch up. One more inhale. On your exhale, lean forward, bring the hands down now, lift your back heel, step the back foot in about a third of the way, and set the foot back down. Once again, heel to heel or hip to hip. Once you have a shorter stance, you can be on fingertips or blocks if you need to. Straighten your front leg without locking the knee. Take your hands to your hips. With the flat back, inhale, rise to stand. If you need an even shorter stance to get the hips even more square, by all means, shorten the stance. So right toes pointing forward, back foot 45, hips a little more even, hands on the hips, stand nice and tall. Then reach your hands behind you. Option 1, fist bump behind your back, so you're doing this. Option 2, slide your hands past one another, clasp elbows. Option 3, if you have very open shoulders, reverse namaskar, press the palms together, sealing the hands, fingers pointing up towards the shoulder blades. However you've chosen to connect your hands, take an inhale, anchor the feet, stand tall. On your exhale, tip forward a couple of inches, pause. Press the back heel more, unlock the front right knee. Keep your spine long, exhale, continue to tip forward. Stop when you start to punch or your back heel starts to lift. Anchor the back heel and continue breathing as you bow over your front leg. You may not get very far. You may, if your hamstrings are very open, you may be tipping further forward. Listen to your breath. Work the shoulder heads to not sag down, but to lift up away from the ground and to roll onto the back. And then once again, front knee unlocked, same kind of pressing of the big toe mound that we talked about in triangle. This is a shorter stance and the hips are squared forward. Back heel very connected. Now keeping your back flat, inhale. Lead with that heart as you press all the way to stand. Once you're upright, release your hands from behind your back. Ooh. Stretch your arms out and up. Look to the ceiling, reach up. Exhale, hands to heart. Bend your right knee just a bit. Step your back left foot up to meet it, front of the mat. Right. Take a moment, collect your breath. When you're ready, bend your knees. Inhale, return to chair pose, Utkatasana. Exhale, fold over the legs, straighten them, bow down. Inhale, stretch forward, long spine. Knees bent. Once again, optional vinyasa. Maybe you're keen to do every flow. Maybe you need to pause and breathe. Scale it back a bit. Listen to your breath. Make this practice the best it can be for you. On your next inhale, send your left leg back. When you're ready, draw the knee high to the chest. Lift, 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 step it all the way through. Set up for warrior one. So back foot 45. Once you're lined up, inhale, Virabhadrasana 1. Lift up into the pose. Left knee bending, upper body lifting, strong straight back leg. Arms stretch up. Maybe pull the belly back, navel to spine a bit more. And once again, lift the back ribs up off of the waist, reach higher. One more inhale. And then lean forward, exhale, hands down. So taking a moment to walk that back foot in closer. So maybe only about 2 to 3 feet, between the heels. And then once the feet are set up, shorter stance, start to work to straighten your front leg. So blocks can be used for this purpose to kind of get the hips square and to get the legs straight. Once you're set up, hands come to the hips, lengthen forward as you inhale, rise all the way up. Once you're up, note if you need an even shorter stance. Sometimes we didn't give ourselves the room to get the hips more square. Once you're standing tall, reach behind you. So either fist to fist, once again, or clasp your opposite elbow, maybe stacking the forearms the other way that you didn't do, or maybe you're pressing the palms behind you. However you're doing this, lift the sternum up, stamp the feet, draw the inner thighs together. And then as you exhale, tip forward just a bit. Pause. Reconnect to your back heel, unlock your front knee, and then keep the spine long as you exhale. Hinge forward a bit more. Keep going until your body tells you that's about far enough. It may be a tiny shift forward. Once again, if you have very open hamstrings, you may be going further and further down. But what you don't want is the back to round and the shoulders to hunch down and everything to collapse. You want to stay strong with the legs, stay long with the spine, and continue breathing no matter how far forward you are going. And here's the thing to remember too. Notice if your left hip is just drifting over the side and you're kind of shifting your upper body to the right. Stay straight over your front leg. That's also going to come in handy later. From pyramid pose, anchor the back heel like crazy. Inhale with the flat back, slowly come back up. When you have a moment, release your arms out from behind you, stretch them out, reopen the chest, palms up, reach for the ceiling, inhale, hands to heart, exhale, bend your front knee, step the right foot to the front of the mat. All right, we have one more standing series. One of my favorite poses. There's a lot going on. We're going to work into humble warrior. We're going to kind of combine a lot of these different elements we've been talking about. Have that strap belt towel handy if that helps you to stretch the arms overhead, because we're going to be doing that again. So take a moment to bring your feet together at the front of your mat. Bring your hands to your heart, press the palms, stand tall. And then start to soften the knees. Bend them as the weight drops into the heels and the tailbone rolls down. Arms sweep forward and up, more weight into the heels, a little counterbalance. Draw the shoulders out of the ears. One more inhale. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, stretch forward halfway. Once again, vinyasa optional, hands plant, maybe you step, maybe you jump back through chaturanga, lift the chest, roll the shoulders back, exhale, downward facing. Right, once you are in down dog, inhale, right leg reaches up and back, left heel lifts, get a lot of height, then draw the knee in, round the back like cat's breath, step it forward. Give yourself a moment to set things up. Once you are there, back foot down, 45. Just like you're going to set up for warrior one, because that's where we're going first. Inhale, arms to the ceiling. Oh yeah, perfect. My son's gonna go outside. So you're in warrior one, arms reach up, bending the front knee forward. We have a little pass through here. So arms stretch up, snaking through the front knee, anchoring the back heel. Now listen carefully. Reach your arms out, take your hands behind you, interlace or grab shirt or your prop. Take a moment here, press your front leg to straight for just a moment. Brush your tailbone down with your interlaced hands or whatever you're grabbing. Lift the chest up, roll the shoulders back. Try to keep the frontal hip bones lifted as you rebend that right knee. Lift the chest up, look at the ceiling, inhale. Now listen carefully. Exhale, tip forward. Slowly, 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 straight forward over your right thigh. Don't lift the back heel. Try to take the arms a little further from the back body overhead. Notice if your right hip is pushing off to the right. Pin it in, draw it back. Stay on the back heel, keep breathing. Try to bow further over the right thigh. If you're very open, you may be able to bring yourself inside of the leg, but don't do so at the expense of losing the hip square and the upper body facing down. Humble warrior, bowing in as you stay connected through the strength of your legs. Opening the shoulders as the arms go overhead. Reach the crown of the head down. Then press the back heel a lot. Lead with that as you inhale, lift the chest up, up, up. Come all the way upright and clasp. One more time, reach up, warrior one. Exhale, hands to the mat, release, let it go. Back heel lifts. Vinyasa if you want it between sides. If not, conserve your energy, come to down dog. From downward facing dog, when you're ready, inhale, left leg goes all the way up and back. Draw it in, shift forward, step it through, high lunge. Set up for your best warrior one. Come up to the pose, inhale, finding Virabhadrasana one. Try to maintain the hips squaring forward, strength of the back leg, bend to the front knee, lift to the front hip points. And then reach back behind you. Interlace the opposite thumb on top, or grab whatever you're grabbing. Straighten the front leg for a moment. Release the tailbone towards the back heel. Lift the frontal hip points up. Pull the chest up. Roll the shoulders back. Stay with the hands connected in some way. Keep the upper body this lifted as you sink the knee forward again. Lean the head back, look up at the ceiling. Exhale. Start to tip forward. Pin your left hip in. Draw your inner thighs closer together. Stay connected to your back heel. Come back to that humble warrior. Now you know where we're going. Try to bring the arms straight up and overhead without swinging to the side, without letting the hip go off kilter. Continue breathing. If nothing else, you're breathing as you bow in. Take it slow. When you're ready to come back up from the pose, take your time as you press to stand. Once you're up, unclasp. One more time. Inhale. Virabhadrasana one. Reach up high to the sky. Exhale. Take it all the way down. Hands plant. When you're ready, last chance for a vinyasa if you would like it. If not, come back to downward facing dog. Once you're in downward facing dog, gently lower your knees to the mat. Let's return to child's pose.
You've earned it. Take that to a child's pose. Allow yourself to relax. Your arms can be forward, they can be back by your sides. Once again, you can have the knees wide. You can keep them a little closer together if you like that variation, if it's comfortable for you. All right. Coming back up to sit, we're going to make our way onto our backs. So before you lay onto your back, if you have a block handy, you may want to have that nearby, maybe next to your side. Give us the option to kind of go into a little restorative inversion after we do our bridge pose. So that's an option. So you're going to lay onto your back, knees bent, feet flat on the mat, with your heels close enough to your hips that your ankles are pretty much right under your knees. So you don't want the feet way out here. You don't want them so close that the knees push past the ankles. You want to have the lower legs pretty much vertical. And then the feet are hips distance. The arms are by your sides. And then let's do this first one with the arms just staying planted next to you. Straight arms, palms pressing, arms close to you. Push the palms, press the feet. Come up into a gentle bridge pose. So you're peeling the back body up away from the ground, but you're keeping your palms rooted. So the arms are just staying next to your sides, and you're just taking a gentle bridge just to get the hips to lift for a moment. And then as you exhale, you're going to lower slowly one vertebrae at a time back to the mat. Now we're going to take bridge again. This time we're going to work to connect the hands underneath. So you may want to use that strap, that towel. Press the palms, press the feet, inhale, lift the hips up, up, up. Now once the hips are nice and high, scoop the shoulders under you. And then either clasp the hands or grab whatever you can grab. You can even grab your own mat. Try to get the arms completely straight. And as you push the whole length of the arms down, press the feet a little more firmly and try to lift the back body a little higher away from the ground. Avoid the knees and toes starting to splay out. Keep evenly on all 4 points of the feet. And then gently unclasp your hands, slowly lower all the way down. Once you're down, pause, take a couple of breaths. We're going to take one more bridge pose. If you have a bigger back bend practice, if you do Urdhva you can go into it safely. You're welcome to take that as your final back bend. Otherwise, another bridge pose. Start the same way. Feet anchored, feet parallel, press them down as you lift the hips, scoop the shoulders under you, and if you're interlacing, once again, swap the crossing of the fingers. Press the arms down, press the feet, continue breathing. And then gently unclasp, lower slowly back to your mat. So now's the time when I would want to slow things down. If you had an inversion practice that you'd like to work in at this point, if you want to take yourself to the wall and practice whatever inversion is going to be best for you tonight, if you prefer to stay where you are, and you have that block or something that you can place under the back of your pelvis, you're going to do a little restorative version. So the block is going to go not under my lower back at all. It's low enough that it's just supporting the back of my hips. I like to do it at the middle height. You can choose depending on what you have, whatever works best. And then if it feels secure where it is, and you feel balanced, you can maybe grab the edges of your mat. You can even scoop the shoulders together again. And then maybe eventually balance the hips on the block. If you don't feel balanced,
Feet down, adjust the block, and maybe stretch the legs up. So this is a restorative inversion. You can also do this with just your legs at the wall without anything under the back of the hips. Or you could have the hips on a bolster or a rolled up blanket if you prefer. Or you can just be flat on your back, legs up the wall. Plenty of options depending on your space and what you have available. And no matter what you are doing at this point, whether you're working a challenging inversion, something with balance, or you're resting, you're making sure that you're just breathing steadily. Give yourself this time to just focus a lot on the breath.
From the rents of the things, the suspense, they could never love anyone except the freaks. The suspense, they could never love anyone except the freaks who could never love anyone. All right, if you are on the block, legs in the air, slowly bend your knees. Take your feet onto the mat. Once the feet touch down, lift the hips enough that you can gently move the block out of the way. Lower the hips down. If you were at the wall, go ahead and make your way back onto your mat, laying onto your back. And then slowly draw your knees into your chest. Give yourself a hug and just rock a little bit side to side for a moment. And so just kind of massaging that lower back a bit. And then go ahead and stretch your arms out either to a T shape or do a gentle kind of cactus arms. And then let your knees drop to the right. Once they touch down, or if you're resting them on something, a block could come in handy, gaze over toward the left. And then if there's any other twist variation you like, you can always kind of extend that top leg out. You can stretch the bottom leg forward. You can use your right hand to just kind of hold the outside of the thigh to kind of increase the stretch if you like. Try to keep your left shoulder anchored as you do this. And slowly bring your knees back through center, drop them to the other side. And then as you twist on that other side, let your gaze fall away from the way your knees are pointing. And then match whatever twist variation you took on the first side. And draw your knees back through center, give yourself another hug, and then come up to sit. You can roll to your side or just kind of rock it back and forth a couple of times, lifting up. Once you're upright, you're going to stretch your legs straight forward. So if you need a little height under your seat, you can sit up on a blanket, a towel, cushion, whatever is available, so that you can have a nice long spine with your legs extended straight forward. And then let the feet flex so the toes point up. Place your hands next to your hips. So depending on the length of your arms, palms pressing down or finger pads, if that helps to kind of elevate you and keep your spine long. Draw the shoulders back and down. Now keep this length of the spine. So lengthening the legs forward, lengthening from your seat all the way to the top of your head. Stretch your arms out. Keep sitting tall, palms flip up. Inhale, raise the arms to the ceiling. As you exhale, tip forward just a couple of inches and pause. See if you can lengthen from your seat through your fingertips now. Take another inhale, then exhale, tip a little further forward. Keep doing that until you can't go any further forward without rounding your back. And then once you've hit that spot, take one more breath, stretch a little longer, and then exhale, fold it further down. So now let the back body round. And then if you're unable to catch the toes or feet or ankles, you can always loop that strap or prop around to pull you in so you have a little leverage. And then drawing your chin towards your chest, take a few slow breaths here in your forward fold, Paschimottanasana. We did a lot of work today. I worked you pretty hard. So keep in mind that you worked your entire body. You worked pretty much every major and minor muscle group. So give yourself a few breaths to just stretch it out and to let yourself kind of slow things down. We're going to take one final hip stretch before we get on into Shavasana. So take your time. When you're ready, roll upright to sit slowly. And once you're up, scooting forward a bit so you can lay back down onto your mat. We're going to take thread the needle. Start with your feet on the mat, knees bent. Stretch your right leg straight up to the ceiling for a moment. Flex the foot. Point the toes over to the right. Then bend the knee. Cross the outer ankle on top of the left knee. Place your right hand to the inside of the knee. And then just nudge the knee away from you. Yeah, so if you're already like, ooh, even just doing that, I'm feeling this outer right hip stretch, stay where you are. If you need a bigger stretch, try to keep the knee moving away from you. You're going to reach your right hand between your legs and your left hand to the outside and catch the back of your left thigh. So you still want to keep this knee kind of drawing forward, not towards your right shoulder. The more it moves away, the more you'll target this outer right hip. So like I said, some you may feel it by just kind of keeping this figure four position, left foot on the ground. You can also kind of bridge the distance by looping something around the back of the thigh. And then you want to keep your head and your shoulders relaxed. So you don't want to be hunched up here. You want to stay relaxed here. And you want to try to just target this outer right hip. So keep the right foot flexed. Keep the knee moving away from you. The more you can get your right shin, inner shin parallel, the more you'll really feel the stretch. And if you need to increase it, see if you can get as much of your tailbone back onto the mat, even if you did reach for the back of your left thigh. Gently release, step your left foot down, uncross, set your right foot onto the mat, stretch your left leg to the ceiling, flex the foot, toes point out, cross it over, figure four. Once again, start by just moving the knee away from you. Keep the back of the pelvis anchored so the hips don't kind of swing or lift up. And then if you're going further, lift the right foot, draw that thigh towards you, reach for the back of it, or you can also reach for the front of the shin. Just making sure that the left knee stays moving
forward and away from you, and your left foot stays flexed. And then a few breaths here, nice, slow, smooth, steady breaths as you do thread the needle, stretching into the outer left hip. And slowly release from the hips, stretch, uncross. If there's anything else your body would like before you come to rest in Shavasana, if you want to take a happy baby pose, or maybe hug the knees in, stretch overhead, whatever you need to get yourself into that place where you can settle completely. Feel free to use props that may make you more comfortable. You can even lay down on a couch or a bed, depending on your space. And then once you do feel comfortable and settled, allow yourself to feel grounded. Allow every single muscle, the body and the mind, to relax, to let go as you rest in Shavasana. Take as long as you need in Shavasana. You're welcome to stay right here. If you are ready to move on with your evening, begin to slowly bring awareness to the physical body. Let your toes and fingers wiggle a little bit. And gently stretch the arms up and overhead, reach behind you. Bend your knees and step your feet onto the mat again. And then slowly shift to roll over onto your side. And from there, press into the ground, bring yourself up. Find a
comfortable seated posture to finish your practice. Once you're upright, bring the palms back together, seal the hands at the heart center, and close your eyes. And as you inhale next, take a moment, let your heart lift to your hands. With your exhale, humbly bow your head toward your fingertips. And have a wonderful evening. Namaste. Thank you for joining in tonight. I hope you guys had fun. Hope everyone's doing well out there, and hope to see you next time. Have a great night.